There's Charlie, your new supervisor. He'll take it from here.
First day of the job, right on time. I like that. So, what do you say we get started? Before you start your job, I need to go over some general points about how to work safely around hazardous chemicals. Ask anyone. They'll tell you. The first thing I tell a new employee, pay attention to warning signs. And not just these signs. What I'm really talking about are the warning signs all over the Exploratorium. Come on, I'll show you. Every day here, we're literally surrounded by all kinds of hazardous chemicals. It'll drive you crazy if you think about it. Acids, solvents, powders, it's the nature of the Exploratorium. Which means, for all employees, safety has to be second nature. Little play on words, made it up myself. Second nature, what a card. Alright, come on. Sometimes, I think people see all these signs and figure they're not really important. Wrong. There's a reason every one of these signs is posted. They tell you what to do and what not to do around hazardous chemicals. Ignore these signs and you endanger yourself and your coworkers. A couple years ago, I had some guy try and sneak a smoke over at the shop, had an explosion. Clothes caught on fire, another guy got burnt. I don't want to talk about it. His name was Steve Clement, all right? Good guy, great employee, incredible flautist. He was trying to give up smoking, but he had some stuff at home and I shouldn't get into it. But he didn't read those signs, even though I told him to, just like I tell all my new employees. I told you, didn't I? What do you think, we put these signs up for our health? Well, actually, we do. Labels, just as important as signs. So before handling any hazardous chemicals, read the label carefully. This will tell you lots you need to know to avoid getting hurt. Labels on ship containers will have general warnings and may include: what's in the container? A signal word telling you how severe the hazard is. Danger is more severe than warning. A pictogram that is intended to convey specific information about the hazard of the chemical, how to handle it, list of hazards, precautions you gotta take. Labels might also tell you the warning signs of overexposure, first aid procedures and other safety measures, where to find further information and instructions, and a lot more. Well, if I could read, I could tell you a lot about what's in here. Now, if you use a drum, when you return it, make sure the label's facing out so your coworkers can read it. Now let's talk about those pictograms for a minute. This means health hazard. It could be a carcinogen or respiratory sensitizer, have mutagenicity, reproductive toxicity, target organ toxicity, or aspiration toxicity. Basically, if they thought I might give you superpowers in the 40s, it could kill you. This is for flammables, pyrophorics, self-heating chemicals, organic peroxides, self-reactives, or those that emit flammable gas. What? What are you laughing at? What's so funny? You'll see this if it's a skin or eye irritant, a skin sensitizer, has harmful acute toxicity, narcotic effects, respiratory tract irritation, or maybe if it's hazardous to the ozone layer. You'll see this if it's a gas cylinder or... No, that's it. This could cause skin corrosion or burns, eye damage, or is corrosive to metals, like the Drooling Alien. You'll see this on a lot of Acme products. It's for explosives, self-reactives, and organic peroxides. This one's for oxidizers. This signifies aquatic toxicity. This means fatal or toxic acute toxicity. This is a cartouche, and it usually signifies ferros. That's probably not important. Take the time to study and understand each of those symbols. They can mean the difference between chemical safety and chemical not safe ability. What's this doing here? This is a little bit unusual, but occasionally it does happen. Finding a chemical container with no label on it. So what do? One thing you never do is taste test it. Another thing you never do is use it without knowing what it is. Best thing to do is to come to me. If you're putting a container away, at the very least, fill out one of these universal waste labels. The museum has procedures for these kinds of things. Now, I better take care of this right away. Mike, I know it was you. You're fired. Give me your badge. And I thought the dishes just did themselves. Which brings me to my next important safety point. If you have questions about anything, come to me immediately. I mean it. Safety concerns, symbols refreshers course, baseball trivia, anything. Now, I'm not saying your coworkers don't have all the answers, but just to be on the safe side, come to me. Hey, that's what they pay me for. Yeah, not enough, but... Okay, so say a label doesn't have all the information you need. What do? Yeah, I know I literally just said to come to me, but...
In that case, you should get the additional information you need from the STS. That's the safety data sheet. And there's one for every hazardous chemical in your workplace. Only a few departments still kick it old school with a physical STS like this one. But the most up-to-date information can be found on the Explo Wiki that is available 24/7. Ask your supervisor to find the right data sheet for the chemicals in your work area.
Taught her well, didn't I? I gotta go make sure Mike's no longer on campus. Why don't you go over the next couple of points?
Okay. The safety data sheets have all the vital information you need to work safely in our workplace. Identification, hazard identification, ingredients, first aid and firefighting measures, accidental release measures, handling and storage, exposure control and personal protection, stability and reactivity, and toxicological information. There might even be ecological, disposal, transport, regulatory information, or other information. The STS tells you about specific hazards of working with a chemical. Those hazards determine the type of personal protective equipment you must wear.
PPE, very important. Here, let me show you. Safety glasses, gloves, rubber boots, aprons. Now, your supervisor will go with the required equipment you need for the job you'll be performing. Oh, you might need a dust mask.
And for more hazardous situations, a respirator. You'll go through fit testing to make sure your respirator fits right. A proper fit is essential for your safety. Hey, you want to try it on and see how it feels? Come on, don't be a wuss.
Now, be sure to check your safety equipment regularly because worn out or defective equipment might not provide you with the protection you need. Trust me on that one.
Next point. Accidents sometimes happen no matter how careful we are, so it's important to know how to respond in an emergency. Now, you don't want to wait for an accident to happen before you find out the proper way to respond.
That's right. You want to call someone immediately.
No.
That's right. It's not like anything like that ever happened here before, except for that time Steve lit himself and Marcel on fire. Charlie never got over that. Or that whole Ron thing, where he split himself to Good Ron and Evil Ron, and then Good Ron disappeared. Or the time with the zombie rat incident. Or, well, let's just say, hypothetically, there's a leak, or a chemical spill, or a fire, or an explosion, or someone's testing out the teleport and didn't check for insects. You want to know exactly what to do when the seconds count.
There are desk phones at each of the workstations in the shop and a shared phone in the bio lab.
Each phone includes a posting instructing you to dial 2222 in an emergency, but that's a whole other safety video.
It's also important to recognize the symptoms of overexposure to the chemicals you use.
Dizziness, nausea, irritation of the eyes, nose, throat, and skin.
Unusual nervousness, agitation, sluggishness.
Until the poor bugger's reduced to a quivering, wasted piece of jelly. Now, of course, if you follow safe procedure and wear your PPE correctly, you shouldn't have any problems.
But if you ever do notice those symptoms or notice any in a coworker, call for emergency backup immediately. Hey, did he tell you what to do if you have any questions?
If you have any questions, ask your
Ask
supervisor.
your supervisor.
Another important safety point. Since you're always working around chemicals, it's important to make personal cleanliness a priority. Remember,
Always wash your hands after working with chemicals. Like after handling chemical containers, before eating, smoking, or vaping, before applying your own or someone else's makeup or lip balm, before putting on gloves or contact lenses, before petting dogs, anything like that.
And be sure you eat and drink only in designated areas.
Yeah, because you could contaminate your food. And if you have any cuts, scrapes, or breaks in your human skin, make sure you properly and carefully cover them up before handling any chemicals.
Say you have some contaminated clothing. Not an accident necessarily, just barely routine exposure. What then?
Remove the contaminated clothing and don't put them on again until you know that they've been properly cleaned and cleaned separately from regular laundry. Very clean, always clean, nothing's clean. Oh, and make sure you know how to properly store chemicals.
When putting things away, it's important that you store chemicals according to the different classes they fall into. Are they acids, caustics, flammable liquids, corrosives, Dijon mustards? We'll help you learn where each chemical is meant to be stored.
They need to be in the right environment. Some chemicals react to areas of high humidity, or when they come into contact with water. You can learn more about the storage information on the labels or in the SDS. Do you know about the SDS?
Yes, we've got it.
Do you want to know more about it?
Nope, thank you. Which brings us to our final set of safety procedures. How to properly dispose of chemicals. Properly. Never discard chemicals down the drain, into the sewer system, or dump them into the bay. Never put them in trash cans or dumpsters that are going to landfills.
Is this ticket?
Never drink the remainder, even if it's just a little bit, even on a dare. And if you're not sure how to dispose of a chemical safely, again, read the label or check the safety data sheet. Or ask me. The museum's taken a lot of steps to ensure your personal safety and health. But we can't do the job alone. We're counting on you to take what you learned today and take personal responsibility for your health. Be alert to hazards and follow all safety rules. Remember, you're depending on your coworkers and they're counting on you. Play it safe, handle hazardous chemicals with care, and be aware of your surroundings. So there you have it, a quick-ish general review of what you need to know to ensure your safety in the workplace. You'll be receiving more detailed training of the specific chemicals that you'll be working with. And remember, if you have any questions, ask your supervisor.